Ryan was showing is love. Love. But people choose to look past the love and spew hate. They get called white man's whore. They say, oh, Tia's a true black woman because she married a black man. Oh, I'm lesser of a black person because I married white.
People in the black community do not feel differently about TaMAGA than they do about Tia because TaMAGA is married to a Caucasian man. People feel differently about Tia than they do TaMAGA because TaMAGA's husband is a bigot. Today, the Trump administration is proposing that they are going to ban people who are on food stamps, SNAP benefits, from buying junk food. There's a proposal to ban people who receive this food assistance. It's going to prevent them from being able to buy chips, juice, snacks, whatever, under the guise of saying that taxpayers should be only paying into people buying healthy foods. The problem with this is that there are over 6,500 food deserts in the United States. If you don't know what a food desert is, it's basically a neighborhood or an area which has difficulty obtaining access to healthy foods affordably. And shout out to First Lady Michelle Obama. If you remember, during the Obama administration, the First Lady's initiative was heavily rooted in the health of America's children and alleviating communities from food deserts. But back to the matter at hand. Why do we have smoke for TaMAGA marrying a Caucasian man? When it was announced today that the Trump administration plans to ban certain things and restrict people who receive SNAP benefits from buying certain things, this is what TaMAGA's husband decided to post. As a kid who grew up in a neighborhood grocery store since I was 5, I can't tell you how many times I saw people come in and buy crap food for their kids with food stamps. He goes on to talk about how they would try to use the money that they got in change from their food stamps, because if you're from back in the day, you know the food stamps were paper. How they would try to buy something and then buy cigarettes, liquor, beer, etc. And then he goes on, TaMAGA Maury's husband goes on to reveal that his family owned a neighborhood grocery store that is still in his family today. And he's basically saying that he saw these people use food stamps incorrectly. I did a little digging. Adam Housley's family owns Ranch Market in Yountville. Yountville is in Napa Valley, the Bay Area. Now, I just want to make one thing pristine before we go any further, because what we're not going to do is develop the false narrative of the welfare queen. In Napa County, where TaMAGA's husband's family owns a grocery store, where he is trying to say that people were using food stamps and SNAP benefits the wrong way, where TaMAGA Maury's family, husband's family, owns that grocery store, where he's saying that people are using the foods and SNAP benefits incorrectly, that is predominantly a white Caucasian population. Only 1% of that population is African American. Why is this important? Again, the welfare queen narrative. Because how dare you and your family make money off the backs of poor people? Your family owning that grocery store in that neighborhood for all those years allowed you to go to Pepperdine University, where you met TaMAGA Maury. Your family owns a grocery store in the Bay Area where there are 600 food deserts as of 2019, and I'm sure that number has grown. Your unreasonable attachment to this belief that poor people are thieves of SNAP benefits, instead of addressing the real problem of food deserts and people who are poor and use SNAP benefits getting access to healthy food, you decide to go online and ridicule that group of people because you're an elitist. So again, no one in the black community is mad at Tia Maury for being married to a Caucasian man. People feel a certain way and differently about TaMAGA than they do Tia because bigotry.
Welcome to another episode of Seen and Heard podcast, where everyone should be seen and heard. And welcome again, Mrs. Kennis. And what are your thoughts on that? And like in the areas that you have frequented and done your work and the people that you've come around, how was it in the areas with the food stamps and the stores in those areas?
So first of all, thank you for having me. As far as food stamps is concerned, as a leader of a coalition of other organizations and members. I have members in the various parishes in Louisiana, red state, serious red state, who receive $23 a month in food stamps. $23 a month in food stamps. These are elderly people through no fault of their own. Their income from year to year was earned on in sugarcane fields, cutting down sugarcane, bunching up sugarcane. And when that was all over, going to the orchards and getting the orchard the citrus fruit off of the trees. $23 a month. Their Walmart is about 17 miles away. There's a mama papa store. But to go in there and buy a chicken, you're going to pay about $18, $19 for a chicken. That's cost prohibitive. No matter how you look at it, it's cost prohibitive. And they're on Medicaid. I'm sure we'll talk about Medicaid. So I just want to jump out and say, and they're on Medicaid. There is no way they should be punished. They paid their dues. Many of them live in the pathway of Cancer Alley. In that area, the government has approved for chemical plants to be erected. It's any kind of plant that's emitting any kind of chemicals and films, etc. And it's coming. It actually blows in their direction. Well, the cane fields have to be sprayed. So imagine you have your windows up. It's a nice warm day outside. You got your windows up, a little breeze coming, and the planes fly over spraying the cane fields. That comes into your house. Now you have to stop everything and scrub everything down. And if you were about to sit down to dinner, you can kiss that dinner goodbye.
I want to interject really quick for those out there listening and don't know what she's talking about with all of the chemicals and things directly going toward Black areas on purpose. That's a form of environmental racism. Everything goes back to racism. Everything. Okay,
Everything.
continue. I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you for that. So any given month, because they pay for everything, they have to pay for water, they have to pay utilities, and every month they get that same bill. Their bill could be $275. So when your SSI check is about $480, you are indebted for life. It's like being a leased laborer from the early times when our ancestors were newly emancipated and they let them off the plantations without any food, without any clothes. Often the really angry ones, they made you strip down, take them clothes off. They belong to me. Well, I don't have any clothes. So what? Well, it's January. I'm cold. Big deal. So today in those areas, it's the same thing. My little $485 check can't cover the full price of my utilities. So then you have to go and get on one of those plans where you pay so much. Well, it's the same thing with leased laborers, if you remember back. Plantation owners own them. Well, Itchy Skitchy, they gave us those crazy names. Today, January 31st, I gave you a mule, I gave you seed, I gave you tools. You broke the hoe, so you had to get another hoe or another rake or whatever the case is. So, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you owe me $175. So you have some enslaved person thinking, where am I going to get $175 from? We have to know our history, and we have to act upon our knowledge of our history. $23 in food stamps, $485 in SSI, and living in the pathway of toxicity in the form of environmental racism, and then having to figure out how you're going to survive during the hurricane season. And this man wants to say there's at least a 50% chance of abuse in all of these social services. Not
And
all.
that's why I pulled this up as well, because not like I don't like really harping on celebrities because really could care less. But this man has been consistently problematic, like all the way back to Trayvon Martin. This man is just, I mean, the stuff he says, he has no idea, and to say like he worked in the grocery store, his family owned the grocery store, so he does not know, about like the food deserts, like you were saying. If they have food stamps, so they go into the stores in their area, the low income people, they don't deliver fresh foods and healthy foods to those stores. So all they're allowed to buy with the small amount of food stamps they have is whatever is in that store. And I
And,
actually want to play.
and as you pull that up, another issue in the parishes that I'm talking about in Louisiana, not an anomaly so much,
Mhm.
but they don't have cars. So they have to pay somebody
Right.
to take them to Walmart. Walmart is 17 miles away. It's about 30 to 40 to $50 for somebody to take them to Walmart. By the time you put out that much money and buy your food without the support of food stamps, you're in trouble.
Hmm.
But then the rich people don't care about that.
Right. And on that, there was a video I wanted to share where there was someone that was actually speaking on that, and it's a short video, but I want to talk on the other side of this video here, from TikTok.
But didn't qualify for food stamps should not comment on food stamps. And anybody who is not on food stamps should not comment on food stamps. Have you ever lived in a food desert where the closest store to you is the corner store and they sell nothing but junk food and there's no transportation near you to get to healthy food or fruits and vegetables? Have you ever had to feed a family of 4 with only $400 worth of food stamps and try to buy anything but junk food? Hell, have you even tried to feed a family of 2 with $400 a month and been successful? Them telling people who are on food stamps that they're not allowed to buy junk food is going to leave a lot of families and children starving because the only thing they have access to is junk food. I know this is hard for y'all to understand, but in most areas where people are living in poverty, they don't have access to a Whole Foods. Like, there's not a lot of access to fresh groceries. People are not shipping fresh groceries to the hood. I don't know where y'all got this theory from. Imagine you going to work every day and somebody telling you how to spend your paycheck. And before y'all say that the people who are on food stamps don't have a job, more than half of the people who have at least one able-bodied adult in their household is working while receiving food stamps. And the average American is paying about $326 annually towards the SNAP program. That's less than $1 a day. And I'm not saying every dollar don't count, but have y'all seen how much y'all are paying in taxes towards war? To fund wars? Stop trying to tell people who are impoverished how to live when they literally have pennies to survive. We just stop. Just let people do what they need to do for their family. And before y'all start talking about food stamp fraud, less than 1% of food stamp recipients are committing fraud. Like, it's just, I'm just spitting facts. So while Tia or Tamara Mari, whichever one of their white husbands, is getting on the internet to tell everybody that he used to see people waste their food stamps while he slept in one room and had to sell his baseball cards, sir, some people can't afford baseball cards. Some people don't have baseball cards to sell. Now let's
Thoughts on that?
He told the truth. Truer words were not spoken. And those are the things we need to begin to commit to every day sending to the White House. We just have to bombard them with the real truth, recognizing they're probably going to turn it into something that is anything but what we intended for it to be. But I think we have to call attention to the fact that we do have people who $23 a month food stamps. That's nothing, but maybe they can get some rice, some red beans, some oatmeal, some grits, so they don't starve to death.
And speaking of the White House, let's hear what the GOP lawmaker we were talking about on CNN. I'm going to play this clip here, and then we'll respond on the other side of this.
would you support getting rid of, school lunch, vulnerable kids, and breakfast, and Head Start, for example, and getting rid of childhood cancer research? Do you support that, and what do you say to your constituents? I want to follow up on that question too, because I didn't hear an answer from you.
Sure. So I'm an ER doc. Philanthropy is where you get most of your money for childhood cancer research, for example. And it's not just how, you look at what the president just proposed, a $500 billion spending bill on AI to produce cancer early detection in the first stage on most body parts. That's his spending bill where he wants to increase cancer research. So it's just about what pot of money it comes out of. When you talk about school lunches, hey, I went through high school. I don't know about you, but I worked since I was, before I was even 13 years old, I was picking berries in the field before child labor laws that preclude paper boy. And when I was in high school, I worked my entire way through. You're telling me that kids who stay at home instead of going to work at Burger King, McDonald's during the summer should stay at home and get their free lunch instead of going to work. I think we need to have a top-down review.
Think about where kids need to actually be. I would say that's not necessarily a fair assessment of all of the kids. So you would say all the kids in your district who use the free lunch, for example, or breakfast, they're all just sitting at home and not working. Okay, I just want to clarify because that seems like what you were trying to insinuate.
This gives us a chance. This gives us a chance, though, to see where is the money really being spent. Who can actually go and actually produce their own income? Who can actually go out there and do something that makes them have value and work skills for the future? How many people got their start in fast food restaurants when they were kids versus just giving a blanket rule that gives all kids lunches in high school who are capable of going out and actually get a job and doing something that makes them have value, thinking about their future instead of thinking about how they're going to sponge out the government when they don't need to. We don't give people value. We don't give them the ability to dig themselves out when we penalize them for actually working and actually keep them on welfare. That's what's been the inner city problem for a very long time. We need to have a top-down review so we can get people out of poverty, because you know what? America's very good at creating jobs and giving people worth, and we've been very traditionally good at that, but we're losing our way. And that's when we give people incentives to stay at home and not work. That doesn't work for America.
But a lot of these kids aren't even of working age. They're young kids, and as you well know, and also some of the kids.
Okay, I have something to say before you give me your feedback, because I know you're gonna. So he snuck in there inner city kids, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to flip this around and show some statistics, because we have to keep calling it out. This is from the Food Research and Action Center. Okay, so who he's insinuating inner city is what he said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
SNAP targets those the greatest in need. SNAP recipients represent different races and ethnicities. Okay, okay, this is the breakdown. White, about 37%. African American, 26%. Hispanic, 16%. Asian, 3%. And Native American, about 2%. About 16% of participants are categorized as race unknown. Okay, I just wanted to pull that up while he was trying to sneak in that inner city quip.
So, again, this is all about racism. That man knows our babies in Head Start can't go to McDonald's and get a job. First of all, they can't reach the French fry basket. And even if they could, the hot grease, they don't know what to do with it. So he should be unseated. There should be posters all along the road in his district to remove him from his seat. For no reason other than he's a racist. He is self-aggrandizing. He is a liar. He is not worthy to be seated in any public position at all. And the great state of Georgia ought to be ashamed of themselves for sending him up to Capitol Hill to do what? I'm not sure. He's abomination. He needs to be unseated.
And unfortunately, he's a representation of the entire regime. That's what they believe. That's how they believe, and that's what they believe. That the entire incompetent and just. I mean, I have to be racist. I have to be mindful. I'm trying to be mindful. Forgive me, my Buddha siblings out there, y'all listening and watching me. I'm being mindful. This is unacceptable. Now we're stuck. So the people that know that y'all are responsible for putting us in this situation, you guys have to work to fix this, because supposedly 13% of the population, and y'all keep saying, well, where's Kamala, or why can't y'all help us? We're 13% of the population, and we did our job because 92% of the black women went in that booth and voted the right way. And was it 78% of black men? 72? Yeah. So y'all that are responsible, y'all know who you are. This needs to be fixed.
That's right. Fix it now. So where I live in the DC area, in the summertime, as long as you're under 18, you can show up at any public library and get free lunch. You also get a bag to walk with, so that if there's nothing in the house to eat and you're hungry later on, you have a snack bag. Tell me how this country does not see that it is moving in the direction of any third world country who through no fault of their own suffer with starvation, malnutrition, food deserts, all of those things. We have everything at our disposal. And this administration would dare to take us back to a time of malnutrition, starvation, all of the things that you see on TV for other countries. They should be ashamed of themselves. And I still want to unseat this man. Matter of fact, I'm going to have to call my friends in Georgia and see what we can do to get him moving along out of that seat. Can't hear you.
That man, I was trying to alleviate the echo, but that man again was Representative Rich McCormick of Georgia. That's a call to action. Rich McCormick of Georgia.
Get him out of there. Unseat him by any means necessary. Get him out.
So we are going to close out on that for now. And don't forget to thumbs up, like, share, comment, share your suggestions. And if you are able to donate, that will be greatly appreciated, because that helps us keep the lights on and pay for the hosting fees and the virtual studio and all of our, graphics and the thumbnails and all that. So we'd like to eventually get a team, but we have to make enough money before we can hire on a team, which, with this job market, we can't do that at the moment, but that's the goal. We want to do that because of the way that the creative market is going. There are a lot of creative people I see out there, and I would like to have more join the team. So, but we're going to close out for now. And thank you, Mrs. Kennis. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace.
Saying, in the sense that, there are some people who think that my husband is racist because he worked for a certain channel. I'm gonna look in that camera right there and let everybody know my husband is not a racist. Boom.